Are you seeing my screen yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so cool. Is that on?
Yep, I can see it now.
Okay, so this is a local website I built for my old school, my old high school. We have a soccer league of sort. Soccer or football is a really big deal down here in Africa. I mean, Uganda to be exact. So we set up this local soccer league where we get to hang out, and I was in a boys only school, just to make that clear. So that's why this is something that allows people to unite and have nostalgia and talk about old stories, over kicking a ball and just doing some exercise really. Of course, we get to do some CSR, like look for some money, support a local cause, all through. So we wanted to find a way of communicating and getting everyone on board, sort of branding, raising awareness, and in some way you get to bring in some advertisers on board. By that I mean big soft drink brands who are willing to do bigger CSR than you can, but they use your platform as a springboard. So we came up with a website, and then eventually we just thought of, you know what, let's just get this into a mobile app, which you got to see a little while ago. Let me see if I can pop my screen. No. I should be able to. I saw something here about adding a screen, but generally it's the small mobile app that I show in my videos. So what does the mobile app do? The mobile app is the quickest way. Most people will not visit the website. They're more interested in the stories that do come in. Of course, we have some little bit of commentary and comedy going in, sort of insider jokes and so on. But we also track like the table, who is leading the table, who's scoring the goals, who is top on the charts right now. And that is all thrown into the mobile app. Now, I'm going to just log in here. And then you'll see some of the rudimentary things I sort of did to get the information off. Initially, I just wanted to use WordPress because that is user-friendly. You'll allow people post the stories from wherever they are using their mobile or whatever it is. You will allow yourself to throw in WooCommerce, do a couple of sales here and there. So WordPress was a great platform if you're going to have to deal with people who are not so tech savvy. But it also allowed me to sort of pull this out in under an hour, where we can have all the games tracked, all the scores tracked. So for me, that was a plus. Now, I'll just go into the plugins a little bit in the editor, just to show you what we're doing with the REST API and how I was sort of interacting with the content that we have. So I wrote, this is the plugin that I wrote, and we're going to get to see what SportsPress does essentially, but I just want to show you a couple of things that I was using to expose that data. So in data, endpoints, let me see. Okay, so let's say the endpoints. So this got me into working with WordPress custom endpoints. I wrote this in OOP, and what I was doing is basically throwing off the teams. I used the editor of the different post types to allow galleries to be formed. So all that content could be thrown off from WordPress, and just using, let's say, this endpoint with the domain, I would end up seeing all the pictures and I would use them in whatever format that I would want to do. I also wrote a couple of custom queries from SportsPress that ended up exposing, let's say, if we are looking for the top scorer, or we're looking for the yellow cards or the red cards in the games, we are looking for the big, top scorer generally. There isn't so much in soccer that you can expose as data, but this allowed me to do things like this. So I would go to, let's say, SportsPress, pick up the player photo, pick up a lot of data that I'm going to show you with the plugin itself. And I would throw these on custom endpoints, and all of that would get picked up and essentially have them running on our mobile apps. So this is what SportsPress does. When you're installing it, it gives you, okay, so it gives you a setup of sort. You can add clubs, you want to track players, you want to track the teams. You get to do lots of other customizations in the app. So give it a name, you can add new seasons of sorts. So I can change and say now the new season is this, A, B, C, D, and then I'll get the current data depending on the season. I'll just skip that. So this is mostly stuff to do with setting up, but the most critical part for us as the local league, we wanted to track the matches. So we have our teams, there are about 18 teams in the league right now. And so we wanted to track the scores, we wanted to track the time, we wanted to track the people who sort of scored, the players who scored the goals and who made the offenses. So SportsPress allows you to have these small meta boxes that you can just sort of fill in with data. Of course, all these names and positions are coming from the player's custom post type that you have here. Then, of course, the clubs are also coming from the post type here. Then, of course, staff are people like managers and coaches. So all of that is in some weird convoluted way is all thrown up into the custom post type of matches here. So you have most of your data managed in the different matches, which are sort of like events. So you have the match day, how much time are you playing, what season is it, where are you playing the grounds, who scored the goals for, which team scored the goals, who won, who lost, then who scored the different goals, who assisted, who got penalized, and of course, all this data which comes in from the different, so let's say if I choose a different team, it brings the players that are associated with that particular team. So SportsPress basically does this very well. The one thing that I've not appreciated about it is that I am able to do something this crazy. You can have a win and loss in here. So the logic sometimes beats my understanding, and I have to do it from the mobile phone side, or when I make the endpoints with REST, I have to make sure that I restrict the data to get only what I do need, so that at the end of the day, I'm not playing around with so much data. I'm just getting only the minimal stuff. So that's where GraphQL comes in. And we were thinking, you know what, this mobile app we're doing is, it's sort of, not sort of, it is built on React Native. So that's basically just JavaScript.
Yeah.
Okay. I know now this makes you happy because of Gatsby. So sort of the same thing. So we were thinking, you know what, let's start throwing all this information on a GraphQL endpoint, and then we can just pick only what we need, even in the mobile phone, without having to tinker with the endpoints. Because every other time, me and the other developers, have a friend who is also helping with the development. Every other time we needed to have information, we sort of had to, hey, Laurence, can you hook up this endpoint? I need this data. then would test the endpoint, then would sort of think, you misnamed how I want to receive this. Then he would have to rename it in the React Native. So we sort of thought of, there's this new tech that I've seen around. Why don't we just throw everything on a GraphQL endpoint and then just add maybe 1 or 2 packages in React Native, just like React, and then everything would work out well. So that's how we end up here with GraphQL. A bit lengthy.
No, this is good
But
stuff.
yeah, so that's the background.
Awesome. Yeah, so I know you've made some progress with adding stuff to GraphQL. What all is supported from the SportsPress data in GraphQL now, and then also like what have you found hard to implement that you still need, I don't know, help with?
So I'll just sort of just pull up this plugin that I had written. It still lacks the sort of, I've been looking at the different plugins that Mohammed has written. I hope I'm getting the name very well. Yeah. Mushin.
Yeah.
Yes, Mushin. So I was just looking at, this is very rudimentary. I've not done anything extra with it. There's a lot that is left to be desired with how I wrote the code. But this was basically to start mapping out what do we need to pull out of SportsPress. It's a huge plugin with lots of code written, with so many things tied in. So for example, you saw how all the other custom post types and taxonomies were all being brought into one post type. So many things are a huge web, so that when you start reading the code, sometimes you don't know how to even query it. You have to sort of just pick the code from SportsPress and then bring it into your custom post type, so custom plugin to make it work all through. So there's a lot of cleaning up that needs to be done. For example, I don't like that I have to do all the if statements. So I think I would like to do some loops to make this available. I'd like to sanitize so many things all together. Then maybe one day when it's fully functional, can just open source it for other people to keep piling, if that's their end goal. SportsPress doesn't have millions of users. If you go to the plugins, SportsPress, okay, so my internet is relatively slower than what you have, but if you're looking at, we don't get the stats here, do we?
I saw it, 20,000.
Oh, okay, yeah, 20,000. That's a huge number. But of course, it handles different sports. I never talked about, it can do basketball, it can do soccer, it can do rugby, the whole shebang of sports running through. So you'd need a number of variants of plugins to handle how the different data comes in for the different sports. So losing myself in thought. So there's so much that needs to come in through here. And then I realized as I was just trying to do these small bits, the documentation sometimes was hard, or I think I was sort of not understanding what I needed to do. For example, when I was looking for the metadata, it took me a long while. Okay, I knew I needed to add the custom post type that I was having here. This would be the name or the ID in the GraphQL endpoint. But that took me a while to just figure out what this was, and then eventually look out for what's the meta ID, the metadata ID in the plugin itself. Is it going to change anytime? Will that break my plugin? Do I need to be on the constant lookout? Those are some of the things that are not specific to WPGraphQL, but the things that I was just thinking about
Sure.
if I was to open source the whole project. So much to think about. Yeah.
Have you this is you sounded like hesitant about how you're writing your code, though. I think it looks good, though. Like, this is kind of what I would expect to see. It's very similar to, like, if you're registering post types. And that was kind of when I designed the API, I wanted it to have a similar feel to that. Meta's an interesting thing, though. Is like WordPress core has a register meta API, but it was introduced pretty recently, like maybe a year and a half ago or something. So for the first like 14 years of WordPress history, nobody used it. And since it's so new, nobody still uses it. So for things like meta to map to something like the REST API or WPGraphQL, it's a pretty manual process still. Because there is no, unless plugins all use the register meta API, something like GraphQL can't programmatically add it for you. So yeah, I think it is one thing. I don't imagine most plugins will change meta keys because it'll be a breaking change for
many users.
Yeah. Either if they do, they probably have to provide some like upgrade script or whatever to, migrate everything to the new meta key or whatever. And they'd probably announce it pretty loudly when that happens. So you would have to pay attention. Like I still ship breaking changes, but I try to document it super clearly when it happens. And I only try to do it if there's like in my opinion, like a clear win for the users, like, performance win or security win or some other like very tangible win. I'm not just making breaking changes just because it feels good, And I think most plugin developers are that way, right? Like they're not going to change a meta key just because they don't like the spelling of it or something if there's no actual benefit. Have you looked into, so I noticed one thing, there's a lot of connections in SportsPress between different data sets. Has that been something you've looked like needed to expose manually? I know WPGraphQL, like if you have a post type and a taxonomy connected to that post type, WPGraphQL tries to build connections automatically for you so that you can, for example, query, let's see, a match is a post type, and what is a club a taxonomy?
Yeah. No. Clubs is
that another post type?
CPT. Yeah, it's a post type.
Okay, so that's one where you have two separate post types that are connected to each other. And so WPGraphQL doesn't know, like WordPress core doesn't have any formal support for post-to-post connections, right?
Yeah.
So for you, that'll be something you'll have to add manually. How do I connect these post types so that I can query matches and then on the matches query the clubs that were involved in that match, or vice versa, query a club and the matches that club participated in. So that's a very underdocumented. I do have documentation on connections. I do have documentation.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me, but I'm not sure who else it makes sense to.
Exactly. So I was trying to scout around and look at the other plugins and at what they're doing. And this is the WooCommerce extension of WPGraphQL. And I was looking at connections and I was thinking, do I really want to dive into that?
You do.
But now that you speak about it, I start to connect the dots. And I see sort of the mammoth task that is ahead, and how I would need to have real good documentation
Yeah.
on how to get that
Yeah.
just done well. So
Yeah.
that is not yet part of this, is it?
I do have, I think it's either extending or guides. I don't know.
Okay.
But I do have documentation on connections. Yeah, right there, connections.
Connections. Yeah. Yeah.
Or not. Go to extending. I have it in here somewhere.
Okay. So we have extending. It's talking about the GraphQL types,
Oh shoot.
connections, mutations, resolvers.
Yeah, API reference for WPGraphQL connections. I don't know why I have 2 pages about this.
Okay. Yeah, well, you're making the documentation better, so
Yeah,
that's a
so
good place to be.
so this goes over registering connections, and I try to show an example, like how to register one.
Okay.
But
Example.
I think for folks to really get it, like
Mhm.
we'll need to build some like real life ones, like for your plugin, for example, and say,
Yeah.
here's the real problem this is solving.
Mhm.
And then people can picture it in their head, like, oh, this is the admin interface for this in WordPress, and here's how to query it in WPGraphQL. So I did coincidentally just yesterday, there's a thread in the WPGraphQL Slack. Somebody was having issues with connections too. And
Yeah.
so I think it ended up being nearly 300 messages in a thread, me and him going back and forth, helping him. So now I have like perfect content for documentation. So I put a task in my backlog with the Twitter or with the Slack thread so that I can add it to documentation. So it'll be coming soon. And then I built a plugin to go along with it just to showcase like how to build a custom connection from a custom database table, because that's something folks were like, how can I build a connection if it's not core WordPress data? So that'll come along with it. But one thing, if you're up for it, if you want, I think it'd be fun to
Definitely
work on registering if you have time and want to do it, or we can schedule another time. But we can walk through the whole process right now.
Yeah,
and
that would be cool, because I'm having a post type, a custom post type here that just has matches, and somehow SportsPress is bringing in the other CPT, which is clubs, and it's bringing also the CPT of players, because you can see the players here. But when I go to my let me just drop that plugin live, so we can see how that's going to work, and then we can do that whole live coding. I can switch on my VS Code so that we can do some pair programming quite easily. Yeah. So,
and let me double check my calendar. I think I'm good for several hours. So, I mean, we can go for however long.
Well, we can do maybe. Yeah.
But we'll at least get one connection.
Yeah.
I'm good for. I have 1 hour from now. It looks like so.
Okay. Cool. So, okay. So this is live. I was trying to set up something local. So let me see if I can.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. I don't know if we need to do a lot, but.
Okay.
Do you have local by Flywheel by chance?
I use XAMPP personally.
Okay.
Yeah. So I tried local by Flywheel, but it was quite heavy on my old computer. So
okay.
I had to just get it off. I don't like the sound of the fan going crazy.
I wonder. I bet you can configure like how many resources it's using, because I love local. It's such a fantastic tool.
It's a cool tool. It's a very nice tool. So just do this.
Yeah, if you have things local, I'd prefer to work on that. But
yeah. So yeah, all done.
Okay, so we're doing it's a multi-site setup then.
No, it's just going to
just
be
regular. Okay.
Just regular. Okay. So okay. So we'll just do that. Go all the way. I sort of had it installed on another computer, and then I just decided to use this one because the other one's internet is broken. So this would be a better help. So
yeah,
Laurence, okay.
And I think too, like the more folks like you that are building extensions, it also exposes to me like places the API can be improved for
Yes,
extending. So it's kind of
exactly.
like this chicken egg thing. Like I need users to be building stuff with it so that I understand what users need
Exactly.
from it. Because there's only so much I can predict, you know.
And then definitely. I was writing a local, a WooCommerce extension for payments. And then until I had it tested on different servers, I didn't know what was going to happen. Until people started saying, hey, this is broken because of A, B, C, D. Then I started adding in different conditionals to make sure everything was working well. So I get the pain that you're undergoing. So, okay.
And then, are you familiar? This is totally off topic, but have you written like unit or integration tests for WordPress plugins before?
I have. My biggest problem is the steps of how to do it. So I've been working with a local company that's been teaching me how to use Conception.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, which is a little bit better because it gives you all the different tests. Besides just unit tests, you get to do all the other pieces, acceptance, the whole shebang of testing. So, yeah.
Oh, nice. This is a nice little onboarding wizard.
Yeah, it looks like WooCommerce. So I'll just basically go for soccer. My team would be called, let me just go for Eagles. Let me see, Snakes. So, okay, so, right. Okay, and Eugene. All right. Just a little bit of dummy data to go in. Yeah. So the grounds, so just call it, yeah, that. So I think we are good to go. All right, so one event, and then we can work with the rest of the stuff. So let me pull this
what's
up.
What's the difference between the free and the pro version?
Okay, so there are a couple of things that you get to do off the cart with a pro version, but for my case, I didn't need them per se. For example, there's a little extension I had to download to add the own goals. This is not usually in the free version of our SportsPress. So we have it right here. So let me not say stuff that's not right about them. So the free extensions have football, soccer, and so on. So the pro, let's see what the pro does. The pro, of course, will give you languages.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So pro. So it has better club and league management. So, okay. I have all of this in the free version. Okay. Oh, okay. So you can do your own custom equations for your sport. I think it's basically just getting better results. I saw Ego, I forget his other name, big WordPress legend. Not Bionic, but Ego wrote this extension of SportsPress that does the whole real-time updates for people on the website. So you would know when a goal has been scored. If it's taken note of, then you'd have a live notification going on your screen. So
nice.
I haven't really looked at the pro features. The pro features here.
Cool. I was just curious. All right, we can go back.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
okay.
I don't want to sidetrack too much.
Let's just, yeah. So we basically have this event that happened, and let's say the Eagles scored a goal in the first half and 2-3-2-0. That would make it 4. So I have to manually add this data.
Sure.
That's the first pain point. So win, and this would be a loss. Ideally, if I add these goals, this JavaScript would help fill in these. So let's just say forward had all 4 goals. Yeah, so 4 goals, and then there were 4 assists here. So that's much about it. There's more data that you can add in, but for now, that will be all good.
So then, can you install WPGraphQL and so WPGraphQL, WPGraphical, and then your GraphQL for SportsPress?
Okay. Oh, just totally. All right. So this is what I have. I had downloaded those. So just this. Okay. Should be ready. Do you get to edit this whole video, clip out a few things here and there, or just goes up all raw?
I usually don't spend time editing.
Okay.
If there's anything like, security issue or something, like you show your password on accident.
That's when you do the edits. Okay. So, okay. All done. We are ready. Everything else is installed.
Sweet. So let's go to GraphQL, and maybe do you have the ability to query matches already in your extension?
Yes.
Cool.
So
let's take a look at an example of querying matches, and then I was thinking maybe we could look at how to do a connection between matches and the clubs that are playing in the match.
Okay, so we have a title that will make it better. So, okay, so we have our Ego Snake game, just like we recorded it in the backend. So what do you need us to do here?
Yeah, so one thing, so yeah, if we look back at the admin interface,
okay,
we have an event or a match, right? And that match has clubs that are participating. So if you were going to query that data in GraphQL, you're going to query for an event or list of events, and then their nodes, and then at the same level as ID and title, you'd want to say clubs and their nodes. So instead of separately like you have it here,
like what I'm doing here,
you'd actually want it at the same level as title. So you'd say like events, edges, node, ID, title, clubs, right? Because you want just the clubs that participated in that event.
Exactly.
And so that's a connection between an event and the clubs that participated. So take that clubs that you just pasted down there and paste it up under title in here. And we'll get all these red squigglies. It's going to say, hey, this doesn't work, buddy. But that's what we want to work. So you're going to get an error. but that's our end goal. So
this is
let's,
already screaming at
yeah,
us.
exactly. So leave that here, and our goal is to get that to work.
Okay, so
So
write this. Let me. Oh, okay. We didn't have our pair programming already working. Let me see. This should be.
shoot. I was just gonna let you do the typing and I'll talk, but I could actually hop in, huh?
Okay. Yeah.
We could.
What would be faster? What would you prefer?
I'll just you just have the screen. I'll just talk and you type.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, then maybe I can hop in. I've
right.
never actually done I knew the feature existed, but I've never actually done it.
Yeah, I've done it with a couple of friends. It's really cool. So
yeah, that sounds fun.
my hands are yours.
Cool. So, you already have that add action register, GraphQL register types. So let's go inside of that action, or you could define that action again. Cool. So we have. So let's just go at the bottom of that action.
Yeah.
Like on line whatever 32.
35. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. Shoot.
Whatever. Yeah. Cool. So, you already have register taxonomy args and post type args, so you're exposing the post types and taxonomies already to GraphQL. And then here you're exposing some custom fields, which you're gonna probably expose a lot more of. You can leave that.
Yeah.
No,
it's broken. That was part of the broken code. So
okay. So the next thing we're gonna do is register a GraphQL connection. So the function register _ GraphQL _ connection. And you probably
register.
You're gonna end up having a lot of these, I think, based on what this plugin, it has a lot of connections. So you're gonna get very familiar with this, I think.
So so this is all I need. So
it's right now it's singular. I don't have a way to do multiple at one time. But that's something we could look into. So register GraphQL connection, and then it accepts an array. So this is the function. So, and then inside we're going to pass it an array.
Okay.
So do the parentheses, the semicolon.
Okay.
And then inside that, I prefer the square bracket array, but whatever.
Well, old PHP, but I think we moved away. 5.6 should have sorted that out.
Yeah.
The square brackets.
So registering so there's going to be two parts to this. There's going to be registering it to the schema and then actually resolving it so that when you execute something happens, right? There's two parts.
Yeah.
So to register a connection, the first key we're going to define is from type. So it'll be lowercase from capital type, all one word. Like, yeah, I know it's actually, from no underscore, from, and then capital T, lowercase I. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's not WordPress standards. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
from type.
Yeah, so from type is going to be where the connection is coming from. And so in our case, the type in your schema that it's coming from is event. So we're going to be connecting event to club, right? Oh, did I lose you? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can get you now.
Okay, I lost service for a second. So it's going to be the type in the schema, not the post type. So so it's you have it like the GraphQL single name, I think is event.
My single event here, it's with a uppercase E, but automatically the endpoints, it's brought down to a lowercase e. Is that the same with the connections?
Hold on. Can you hear me again?
Yeah, I can. I can.
Okay, I lost connection again. It actually kicked me out of the Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I think my connection's been.
Right?
Yeah, can you hear me again?
Yes.
Okay, I stopped my video. I just got kicked out of the Zoom twice. I think my internet connection's unstable. Zoom keeps telling me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
hopefully
I,
I stay on. But yeah,
I'm
so
recording, so I can always shoot you up this.
yeah,
I can always send it to you. Yeah.
yeah,
So this register GraphQL connection is part of the add action
yeah,
GraphQL register types.
yep.
Okay, sweet.
So
So does this have to be in lowercase at the beginning, or should it be uppercase? Events being registered as this. My single name is uppercase. I noticed that when I do this, automatically on my endpoint, it's turned to a lowercase e.
So there's two parts. So GraphQL kind of standards are that fields are lowercase first and types are uppercase first. So fields are how you access a type, and a type is like a declaration of the shape of something, right?
Yeah.
So fields are typically lowercase, types are uppercase. So the type here would be uppercase.
Okay.
Behind the scenes in WPGraphQL, it actually normalizes them all to be lowercase strings. So it wouldn't actually matter. You could do lowercase or uppercase, it won't matter.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the standard is when you're talking about a type, you use uppercase first. So from type would be event, and then you could do comma, and then on the next line do to type, so like TO type.
That makes so much sense.
So it's a connection from event to club.
Yeah, club. Yeah.
And then do a comma, and then the next one will be from field name. Naming things is hard, but so from field name. So this is going to be the name of this connection of the field that exposes this connection on the from type. So when you're querying events, we want to be able to query clubs, right?
Yeah.
So the field name would be clubs. Okay. You could call this whatever you wanted. In our case, like, and this one, since it's a field, this would be lowercase.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to make sense. Okay, so
yeah,
we have a from type, we have a to type, then we have a field name.
Yeah.
And that is that all?
For now.
Okay.
It's not actually going to execute anything, but it will expose this to the schema. So we'll actually have a connection that we can execute without errors. You won't get any data though, because WordPress doesn't know how these things are connected. So if you click the play button again,
yeah,
you won't get any error. You'll just get a null.
Okay. Oh, I was thinking of reload it and see what happens.
So if you do reload it, you won't get the red squigglies anymore, telling you that it's broken.
Yeah.
So now you can you have this in your schema. So now you can query events, and on the events you can query the clubs. In this case, GraphQL doesn't know how to make that connection, so we have to tell it, and that's where resolvers come in.
Okay.
So when you execute this, the way it's going to work, it queries a list of events. So it uses WP query behind the scenes to get a list of events, right? And by default, it'll get 10 events. If you don't ask for anything other, it'll just start with 10. And then it passes those events down to the node field. So you have like an event post type object that gets passed down to the node field. And then we're resolving the ID and the title from that post type object. And so when we go to resolve this clubs connection, we have access to the event or the match post type object. So then we can, if I assume the relationship is stored in meta somewhere. I don't know. I'm not familiar with how they store it, but that's my guess is they probably store like IDs, or is it a taxonomy? I don't know how they're storing the connection.
Yeah, I would have to look into that myself, but
yeah,
go
so
ahead.
we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
And then, so we're going to have to write a resolver that just says, okay, resolve this connection given those connected club post types. So the next line, let's do resolve.
Yeah.
And this is actually, I've done a lot of work to try and make this easy for folks. I don't know if it is, but so let's do.
Let's see how easy.
This one's going to be a function. So similar to like above where you did register GraphQL field, and it was a resolve was a function. Here you will do a function. And every resolver in GraphQL, not just WPGraphQL, but like if you do GraphQL in JavaScript or Ruby or anything else, every resolve function gets passed 4 things. So the first one is the source, or the object that was previously resolved. So in our case, we're doing a connection from an event. So we're going to be getting an event passed to this resolve function. So you can name the variable event if you want.
Okay. All right.
And then the next 3 things, so you could do comma, and then you'll get args, which would be any arguments, like any input arguments, like first, last, after, before, which is used for pagination. Those would come through here if they were input. The third one is context, and this is like information that you can use to determine where you're at in the GraphQL query. Like you can check the parent field, like, oh, is this connection being queried from the root query, or is it a subfield of another connection? So like you can, and then you can do like conditional logic based on that or whatever. It's a really awesome tool. And then the last one is info, or sorry, info. Yeah. Info is what I just described. Context is separate. Anyway.
Okay. All right.
You can use info to determine where you're at in the schema. Context is like global data, which WordPress handles global data already. Like you have functions like get current user and things like that, which is global. For systems that don't make use of globals, context is where you can pass globals down. So when a GraphQL request starts, you can do something like authenticate a user, store that user in context, and then pass that user down to every single resolver so that somebody can say, hey, does this user have permission to see this field? So WordPress already kind of handles that in a different way. So, but that's what it is. So inside this resolve function, we're going to say, let's create a variable called connection. Could be whatever you want. And then say new. So we're going to instantiate a new class. So it'll be new. And then let's see. It'll be we'll see how your VS Code does. Post object connection resolver. It'll be post object. Okay, so it's not detecting.
Yeah. No.
GraphQL.
I sort of have a plugin that does the other. Maybe we could do an extension for
it's all good. It's all good.
No. But that's project anyway.
So post object connection resolver. And I'll camel case or whatever this case is called.
Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal. Yeah, that's and then parentheses.
Okay.
And then semicolon, and then you're gonna pass all 4 of those arguments into it. So you'll pass event, args, context info.
Okay. Are you still there, Jason?
Yeah, I lost you for a second, but I'm back.
Okay.
And then let me double check one thing. I think there might be a 5th argument. Oh, so we're gonna have to do the fully qualified namespace since my IDE always puts in. I use PHP Storm, and it always puts like a use statement for me automatically. So the fully qualified namespace, you could do a use statement if you want, or you can just write it in there. So it'll be use, and then it'll be, I think, /WP GraphQL slash data slash connection. Okay. Yeah. Oh, data slash connection.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's correct. If this doesn't work, I'll have to help. So anyway, so I have this class post object connection resolver. This does all the heavy lifting of querying, like using WP query to query post objects, and then converts it to that shape that we need, edges and node, and then sets up things like pagination so we can, pass arguments like, I want just the first one item or the first two items or the first three items. So all this like heavy lifting with like translating GraphQL to WordPress data stores, this abstracts a lot of it. And so on the next line under that connection, let's do connection. So use the connection variable that we just created. And then the like single forward arrow, like I don't know what that's called. Like we're accessing. Yeah. So without a space, because we're accessing a method from this class. So it'll be get underscore connection. And then let me check one thing. My memory is failing me on one thing. I need to look up something. Hold on.
Yeah, sure.
I think, let's see. Okay, we need to pass a fifth argument to it for this. So after info, where we say new post object connection resolver, do a comma.
Okay.
And then we need to pass the post type that we're querying. So this would be the actual, so you can just do a string if you want. And this would be the post type we're going to query. So it would be whatever SportsPress calls the club post type. So it's so SP club or whatever it was.
Club, team.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So what this is, that fifth argument just tells us, hey, we're going to do a WP query, and when we do, we're going to query this post type. So this will work right now, but it's not going to be the connected clubs. This is going to query all teams. So go back to make sure you save this and then go back to GraphQL and execute this. And if you have any clubs, we screwed something up.
Okay.
My guess is it's the namespace. Hold on. Okay. Get rid of that / before WPGraphQL.
Yeah.
Try that.
Because I'm not doing any OP. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, no, we're still screwing something up. Hold on, let me make sure. WPGraphQL data connection, post object connection resolver. Oh, we're not returning anything. Return. So where we did connection, get connection, say return.
Okay, so just return this.
Yeah. That's, I don't know if we still have.
Okay, save this, go back, press play.
No, it's still not liking it. Let's, hold on. Let's just get rid of that use state. Just copy the namespace, and instead of using the use statement, we'll just put it in line.
Okay.
Because you have your own namespace here. I think that might be it.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to.
No, we could.
Anyway.
Okay, let's do it both ways and see. So where do I place the namespace?
Right in front of post object connection resolver. So it'll be new WPGraphQL data connection. And let's look for typos. Let's see. WPGraphQL data connection post object.
Do I have to make my font a little bigger?
You could. It wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. This looks right. Let me see what I'm missing. Solve. I think this is right. It's something with the namespace. If this still isn't working, I think.
Okay. Let's.
Or we have another syntax error somewhere.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's do this. Let me get rid of my namespace. I don't have any other conflicts coming up per se. It's just one install. Let's see how this runs.
And if not, we might have to, if you have access to error logs. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All
So
right.
do you have any clubs set up in this data set?
Yeah, I do.
And are they published?
Yes, they are published.
Okay, this
So,
should be. Oh wait, what just happened to that query? Did you just cut something out?
no, I just
I
took something out. Yeah. Okay.
So this should be resolving.
Oh, let me just do a refresh to see. Okay. So we have that. Execute.
Can you go into?
Do I need the pages? Okay. Where do I go?
Can you go into clubs and over in the left? No, in actual the WordPress admin.
Okay. All right.
I just want to see what we have here.
What we have here? Yeah.
So it's
we have to
_team.
Yeah.
And do these use custom statuses by chance, or is it normal WordPress like publish and whatever?
It's all normal WordPress stuff going on.
Can you click into one of those clubs so I can see real quick? Okay, these are published. Okay, go back to the code. Let me see. This, what we just wrote should query for.
Do we need this
SP
slash
teams
again?
You can try it. I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't remember though.
Okay, SP team is the right custom post type. Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, I'm seeing clubs.
Oh yeah, get rid of that. That's gonna make it invalid.
Now, but the little bit of difference. Oh no, this is an event. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Go back to your code. We're gonna do some debugging then. I need to see what's happening here.
Okay.
So on the line above the return statement, let's do.
That's the connection.
Yeah. Do before the return statement, hit enter.
Okay.
And then do WP _ send _ JSON.
Okay.
And then say, parentheses, and then inside that do connection. Like the dollar sign. Yeah, connection. And then the forward arrow again.
Okay.
And then get _ query. And then parentheses.
Okay.
And then save that and then execute in GraphQL again. So this WP send JSON, this is like a little debug trick. It's just when we execute in GraphQL, it's like almost like a breakpoint. It's just gonna send that JSON at that specific point straight back to GraphQL, so we can see what's happening.
Okay.
And so it's not gonna be a console. It'll be actually up in GraphQL because we can't console log from PHP.
Funniest thing is I've been doing that with WooCommerce.
Yeah.
Like when you're working at the checkout page.
Yeah.
And you dump some stuff, it always goes down in the console.
Oh, sure. So just click the play again, and we should get a JSON payload right here. So this is like an instance of the WP query that. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I know what we need to do. So this helped me already. So what I'm seeing, WP GraphQL behind the scenes, go back to what we were looking at there. So it was WP GraphQL. This is a bug that I need to address, but if you have a connection from post type to another post type,
Mm-hmm.
it assumes that the post type it's coming from is the post parent. So you can see that it's setting post parent as number 39.
39, yeah.
Which is the event ID that we queried.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. Like, these clubs aren't children of this event. So we're going to have to override that, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is cool. So this debug technique helped me very quick figure out what the problem is.
Cool.
So
just comment.
Yeah, leave that because we might need it again. So do connection. Yeah, or you can leave it commented out, but just in case we need it.
Okay. So just above.
Yep. Do connection and then the forward arrow thing. What is that even called? Does it have
I don't know.
All right.
Dash greater than.
Yeah, there you go. So we're gonna have a method we're gonna use called set query arg, and it's like camel case or whatever.
Okay.
So set and then query arg. Yeah.
Singular. Arg.
Yep. Singular, and then parentheses, and then the first thing is a key, so the query arg that we're going to set. So in our case, it's going to be post _ parent.
Okay.
And then it's a comma. Yeah, I wish it was like that, but whatever. I'll probably introduce set query args where you pass an array, but anyway. So post parent, and then the second one is the value, so we'll just say 0.
Okay.
So that's going to be that 39 we were seeing was kind of a mistake. So this should work now. You don't need to uncomment the send JSON. Just save that, execute the query again. Okay. And now we should get a list of clubs. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So this is all clubs though. So if you go add another club, it's going to show here even if it wasn't part of this event.
Okay.
Which we don't want.
Okay. Yeah, carry on. Any other thoughts? So monkeys.
So I'll show you. Yeah, exactly. So publish monkeys and then go execute that query again. And now you're going to get eagles, snakes, and monkeys. And you're like, wait, I don't want eagles, snakes, and monkeys because this was an event just between the eagles and the snakes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the way we need to figure that out, we're going to have to look in. Do you have like something like SQL Pro or something where we can look into the database?
Yeah, good old PHP my admin.
That's perfect. Doesn't matter what tool it is. We're going to have to look into the database and see. I'm not familiar enough with SportsPress to know how they store relationships. But if we can get to the database and look at, find the post. So find the post like 39 is one of the was one of the events. We're gonna want to look in post meta, I think.
Okay. All right. Post meta.
And then go try to find ID 39 because I think that was one of the event ID. So that's meta ID. So post it. So let's see. Okay, SP team. I see it.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's the meta key SP team.
Okay.
Cool. So let's go back to that resolve function. And then above this set query arg, because we're gonna end up wanting to. Yeah. So anyway, let's do create a variable called teams.
Okay.
Or clubs or whatever terminology, probably clubs, but And then we'll do get _ post _ meta.
Get _ post. Just get meta.
Yeah, because so the event that got passed in to the resolve function is the event that's being resolved. So we can say event forward single forward arrow ID.
Okay. And then
comma, and then SP team.
Okay.
And then we normally with get post meta we say true as the third statement because it's singular value. In this case, it's actually a plural value. We want an array to be returned, so we want that third one to be false.
Okay.
And I think we want to explicitly.
By default, it's false.
Is it false by default? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I like explicit stuff better.
Okay.
So let's do real quick to make sure we're getting the correct thing. Under that, let's do the WP send JSON on clubs.
Okay.
And
All
what
right.
we should be getting in response is an array of the team IDs.
Okay.
So if we do clubs here and execute that query again, we should get 2 IDs in response.
Okay.
Instead of 3.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
31 and 30.
Sweet. So now we have the connected clubs. So we can use set query arg again.
Okay.
And just like we did post parent, we can say post __ in.
Oh, uppercase, right?
No, it's two
No.
lowercase and it's still lower.
Okay.
And it's 2 underscores.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. And then you can just say clubs as the value.
Clubs. Okay.
You'd probably, yeah, that should work. And then now if you execute it again, now we should get just the eagles and the snakes.
All right.
So now we have a connection between, right, an event and the and then
clubs, the participants.
Yeah. And let's say and go back to graphical real quick.
Okay.
And you probably won't need this ever, but if you wanted to paginate this for some reason, like let's say you had a tournament and there was like 100 teams in the tournament. You might for your mobile app, you might not want to load all 100 teams until the user scrolls, right? You might want to load 10 and as the user scrolls, load the next 10 and then the next 10, right? So you can do pagination. So this is built in. So on the clubs in your query over on the left side, you can put a parentheses and then say first, just the word first, colon, and say 1. And then execute again. And now you get just the first one.
Yeah.
Right? And then first 2. And then you can obviously ask for like 100, but since there's only 2, you're only going to get 2. And then you can get cursors, which is like a reference point for how to start paginating again. So like all this stuff, like that post object connection resolver, like is handling a lot of this behind the scenes for you. So like it converts it to the shape of edges and nodes. You can also query directly at the nodes. So if you want, after you do clubs first 2, click enter, leave edges and node.
Okay.
And just click enter above edges.
Okay. Just above edges.
Yeah, right there. And say nodes. And then print, whatever the curly brace.
The and bracket.
And then ID title again. So you can query data. If you don't need edge data, I'll explain edges in a second. Leave them both. Leave them both.
Oh, okay.
Leave them both because you can do it 2 different ways at the same time if you want. Yeah, so edge data, I do actually have documentation on what this is. It may or may not make sense. It's that relay spec under guides. It's under guides, whether it belongs there or not, I don't know.
Okay. So we have guides, relay spec, edges and nodes.
So this, I try to explain it. I don't know if it makes sense or not. This picture actually will help me explain it though. So if you have like a post and a category and an image, they're all considered nodes, right? And in the graph. And a post and a category are connected, so they're considered a connection. So we have a connection between posts and categories. Or in our case, what we just did is 2 posts, a team post and a event post. So those have a connection. But there's when an application will query those things, it will try to cache them in a normalized cache. So what that means is if you query like the snakes team, you want to cache that team once, right? You don't want to cache it like 100 different times. You want to cache it once. And same thing with the event. You want to cache the event once. But there might be contextual data about that, like I'm trying to think like how many penalties the I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. Let me give you a practical example because I'm not like an expert in SportsPress, but so think of it as a social network. I'm a user and you're a user.
Yeah.
There's contextual data like the day we became friends.
Yeah.
It's not a property of you as a user, and it's not a property of me as a user. It's a property of our relationship to each other.
Oh.
And so if we were to cache me as a user, we don't want to cache data about what time I became friends with everybody I became friends with. That doesn't make sense. And same with you. We don't want to cache a list of, so we only want that data to be exposed when we're trying to talk about our relationship. And so that's what's called edge data in a GraphQL API. So it's contextual data. And so it's a place where we can expose it as, like, another example at the newspaper I used to work at, we had, you've probably experienced this before. Folks will upload like an image to the media library and they'll use it on 12 different posts, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right. But in our case, we built a feature where they could like they could change the caption based on the post it was displayed on. So like if it was, if it's a picture of I don't know, somebody on
the giraffe on the road.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's like a humanitarian article, maybe they're like, oh, save the giraffes. And then on the other one, they're like, hey, a giraffe is eating grass on the side of the road, right? So two different captions.
Yeah.
You don't want to cache that caption as part of the image because that would mean it's the same caption on both posts. And you don't want to cache it on the post because it's like you don't want the caption unless the image is rendered. So you want this to live somewhere in between the post and the image, right? It's not a property of either one thing. It's a property of these two things come together. So that's what edge data allows in applications, is like a place to have this relational data without like causing weird cache conflicts. And then, so you'll probably, I think SportsPress, I'd have to study it a little bit more, but I think you have a lot of cases of edge data in SportsPress because there's like the score of a team. Yeah. Well, that might be a property of an event. I don't know. It might be something you cache against the event.
It's just metadata attached to a particular event.
So in that case, it might be event property, but I don't know. We'll have to explore some of that and where it makes sense. If it makes sense as edge data, because if you ever query, I don't know. We'll have to explore that a little bit. Yeah. But that's the concept behind it. Yeah. So anyway, we have a connection registered in how many lines of code? Like 12 lines of code or something?
About quick math 12. Yeah.
Or good. 14.
Yes, about 12 lines. Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty good. So this one's pretty straightforward. Some of the other ones might not be as straightforward, and you might start getting into the weeds. I'm like, but the thing is, behind the scenes, like I'm still using WordPress primitives like WP query and WP tax query. So if you know how to resolve your data in WordPress outside of GraphQL, we can figure out how to do it in GraphQL fairly easily. That's registering a connection.
This is really helpful because I was trying to, you've explained the nodes a lot better, because I would query for data just using the nodes and it would come back. Yeah. But then sometimes I would find myself just doing the edges and whatever.
Yeah. In most cases right now, you probably don't need to query edges because you don't have any edge data that is necessary. Yeah. So in most cases, you can query straight to the nodes and you'll be fine. When you start getting that contextual data, so it was plural, when you do start getting that contextual data, the edges will become more important. Yeah. But if you don't need them, this is just kind of like a shortcut to say, I don't have any edge data.
Yeah. So this has been really eye-opening. It's been one of those things I was looking at because I was querying data the old way and I couldn't find out how to join the two. So I was a bit lost. So I was going to look for a mechanical way to do that over in the mobile app.
Yeah. And then if I know you're gonna have connections to terms too. I think a lot of them are handled by default though.
Yeah. No, they are. So once I exposed a couple of these taxonomies.
Yeah, they should show up automatically.
So they show, yeah, exactly. So they do show up. However, I don't think they are part of the connections. For example, we have player positions, which is a part of the players right here. So let me just do a quick query there, see what happens. So we have players, so nodes. What do I have? Let me just use
probably
this.
ID and name or
ID,
ID,
yeah,
title.
ID and title. So that would ordinarily give me the players.
And then you should be able to say position, I think.
Okay, so player position. I expose this. Yes.
Yeah. And then you should be able to say
line.
nodes.
Okay.
And then like ID, and since it's taxonomy, it'll be name.
Okay. So ID, name. Okay.
That should work.
Yeah. Okay. Let's execute that and see. Yeah. So Carlos is yes. Jason is yeah. It works out well.
Cool. Crystal. Yeah. So I try to make a lot of this stuff just work as much as I can. And then this, see, potentially, like you could get real complex with this. Like you might have a player who plays on multiple clubs. Maybe. In your case, that's probably not the case, but like
I've never seen that happen in sports.
I'm just hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
I play indoor soccer myself and I play on multiple teams, but I'm not like professional or anything. But like, so I've scored goals for this team and that team, for example, right? So like, and I've played goalie and on the field. So like potentially you could query me and then the clubs I play for and then the positions I play, and it might be different based on the club I play for. I don't know. Like this stuff could get crazy.
Yeah.
And then
this is
and then in cool. Clubs, player. Oh, so then this is where you'd have to do another connection. I want to see how fast we can do a second connection. I have like 8 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
So players is a post type and clubs is a post type.
Yes. So do you want to attach players to the clubs?
Yeah. Or let's do clubs to players, either one.
It's the other way around. Players belong to a club.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So
copy that whole snippet.
Yeah. Just duplicate it. So we're going to have a player. No. Yeah.
You want to go. I think you want to go both ways. You probably want to have it both ways. But let's start with club.
Okay. Club to player. Field name would be
players.
Players. Yeah. Okay.
And then the post type would just change SP team to what, SP player or whatever their post type is.
Yeah, SP player right here.
So SP player. And then we need to find out what the post meta is that the meta is. So the club stores meta as a list of players, I imagine. So we need to go figure out what that meta key is.
Okay. So do we need to dump this?
Let's go into PHP my admin real quick.
Okay.
And let's figure out what meta key. Go into your WordPress admin first and find the ID of a club.
Of a club, okay.
Because we're gonna have to figure out how they store. So that's or edit. Yeah,
31.
So 31. So let's go look at meta for post ID 31.
Okay.
See what meta they have.
Okay. Doing the reverse of it. No. Current team. I just see SPT.
So I think they store it the opposite.
The opposite way.
Oh, so they store the team on the player, it looks like. So they don't store the player on the team. So we're going to have to, so let's see.
Okay, so
we're going to have to do a meta query.
Okay. So in terms of players, if I go to a player, the way they are assigned a club is by a little meta box, something that.
Cool. I know how to do this.
Okay.
So it's storing the team ID. It's storing the team ID on the player. So on the one thing to change real quick on line 50 in the resolve function, instead of event, we're getting past the club.
Okay.
Because we're resolving a club. Okay. And then club. And then let's see. And then past there, and then instead of clubs on line 52, it's gonna be players, our variable.
Okay.
Because we're gonna get a list. Okay, so we're actually gonna have to do a meta query here. We can't just do a get post meta.
Okay.
So
should be team.
No, it'll be players because we want to query players. So to get the IDs, we're gonna have to do a WP query to get the IDs first. So instead of get post meta, get rid of that line, get rid of get post meta.
Okay.
So it'll be players, do players equals new WP query. It'll be new, you'll do new WP. Yeah, so you gotta say new first.
Oh. Thank you.
And then let's pass an array so you could.
Okay, let's do it your way. Okay.
And then don't forget the semicolon.
Okay.
All right. So what we're gonna do is a meta query to get all players that have the meta of this team. So we'll do post type equals SP player. Okay. And then comma, and then meta underscore query. Okay. Actually, let's do this. And then equals array or forward arrow array. Yeah. And then it's an array of arrays. So you actually do square brackets again. Okay. And then inside that do square bracket again. Oh. Yeah, it's an array of arrays. Okay, so inside those square brackets, let's do the string key. Okay. Equals, I think it was SP team. You can look at PHP
string key.
Again. Oh no, sorry, just the word key. Sorry. Okay,
key.
Equal to, I believe it was SP underscore team, but let's go check.
That's
PHP
for
admin again.
My Firefox crashed.
Oh shoot.
No, that's okay. This is the first time it's happening though. Okay. Yeah. Restore session.
I think we're close. I gotta hop in 2 minutes, so hopefully we can finish this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No way. Okay. Shoot. What do we need to do? What were we required to do?
I think
the admin.
So key equals, I think it was SP team.
SP team is a post type.
Yeah. But I think it was also the meta key they saved. And then comma value equals.
Okay, comma value.
Oh, inside the square bracket still.
Yeah.
No, Sorry, inside the comma should be right after SP team, inside the square bracket.
All right, sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, value equals, and then this will be club ID. So the $club.
Okay, club ID.
Yeah, we're getting it from the variable because we want to.
Okay.
Yeah, club ID. Yeah.
All right.
And then comma, and compare. You'll say compare. Forward arrow. Oh no, it'll be a string. Yeah, just like the word compare, and it's lowercase, I believe.
Oh, that's SQL, no?
Yeah, but yeah, this is WP query. So, and then you'll say as a string. So in single quotes, you'll just use the equal sign. So what this is going to say, and then post type, meta query, and then between post type and meta query, let's add another argument. We're going to say fields equals, let me double check this, but we just want the IDs.
Okay.
I think you just say fields equal ID, but let me double check. Yeah, you say fields equals and then the string IDs. So just the word IDs.
Fields IDs.
In single quotes, in single quotes.
String. Okay.
And it's all lowercase too.
Okay.
IDs, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So now,
okay. So yeah, I'll just do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Alrighty. Time to get started.
Oh, all right, I gotta hop.
You gotta go. That's okay.
So last thing you'll do is just change that post in on line 61 instead of clubs.
All right.
Yeah.
Do players forward arrow posts, because that'll be a list of IDs.
I'll go through announcement and reminders very quickly.
And then that should work. If that doesn't work, hit me up in Slack and Twitter or whatever.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Post, it'll be plural, players posts.
Okay.
Because that's how WP Query returns it.
Okay. All right.
All right, man.
Thanks. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right.